Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled 24 Hours to Live. Let's get straight into the storyline. The story begins by showing several Interpol cars carrying an important witness named Keith. It is known that Keith is a former member of a criminal organization called Red Mountain. This group often conducts very dangerous illegal experiments. For this reason, government agents are trying hard to uncover the rottenness of the Red Mountain Group by making Keith a key witness to testify before all UN members. However, when Keith was on his way to headquarters, suddenly, Red Mountain members appeared and blocked the Interpol squad car. They immediately opened fire, causing a shootout that killed several agents. From that incident, only a woman named Lynn survived, and she immediately took Keith away from the place. Then, the movie moves to a man named Travis, who is seen drinking on a Florida beach with his father-in-law, Frank. A little information: Travis is a former American soldier who has now turned into a hitman. His name is well known in the criminal world, often hired by the mafia or corrupt officials to kill political rivals or people who are considered a threat to their position. Although Frank knows Travis's job, he doesn't mind because, in his eyes, Travis is a good and responsible family man. After fishing, they continued their journey to scatter the ashes of Travis's late wife. After fishing, Travis, who wanted to have fun, decided to go to a bar. He enjoyed the dancing of sexy girls. Moments later, two strangers were seen watching him. Travis, who realized their presence, immediately dragged the two people into the toilet and locked the door so that they would not disturb him. Not long after, their boss, Jim, came to see Travis. Jim was Travis's comrade when he was still active in the military. He explained that his arrival this time was to hire Travis's services to kill a former Red Mountain member who had betrayed his group. The targets included a female agent who had escaped earlier. Initially, Travis refused because he was still mourning the death of his wife and child. However, once he heard the $1 million per day fee, Travis changed his mind and accepted the contract, even though the target was under the protection of Interpol and UN members.
There's your target. Her name's Lynn Bissett.
After explaining about the two targets, Travis quickly learned that Lynn's background was that of a widow with one child. He also saw this as an opportunity to find out the whereabouts of Keith, who was being hidden by Interpol.
Keep reading, pal. We're wheels up in 10.
The next morning, Travis was already in Hong Kong. He immediately went to Lynn's residence to find out her whereabouts by asking her mother and son, who were at home.
Looking for an old friend, Lynn Bissett. We spent a semester abroad together at Oxford.
Because Travis is quite good at socializing, Lynn's son Christopher finally said that his mother was still in Africa and would return to Hong Kong in a few days.
That's right, because the hold sucks.
After asking for help from a location tracking team, Travis finally managed to locate Lynn, who was still at the African airport. He immediately ordered several Red Mountain members to bribe the airport to delay the flight to Hong Kong so that Travis could seduce and capture Lynn when they met. When finally confronted with Lynn, Travis, a former playboy, immediately unleashes his deadly seduction without much ado. He invites Lynn to eat together at a nearby restaurant while waiting for a delayed flight.
Can I take you out to dinner? I know a much better restaurant than this.
It was during their time together that they began to open up by telling each other about their lives. Travis tells her about his late son and wife, who died in an accident.
I lost my wife and son a year ago this week.
However, because they were already deep in a romantic relationship, they finally agreed to spend the night at a nearby hotel. The next morning, Travis gets the opportunity to take Lynn's cell phone. Secretly, he began copying important data on the cell phone. However, when he is about to finish her off, Travis does not shoot Lynn because he feels unable to kill a one-child widow. After Travis left the hotel, Lynn, who just realized that the data on her cell phone had been copied, immediately rushed after Travis. She also pointed a gun at him, so at that moment, there was a shootout. However, unfortunately, Travis had to be shot right in his chest. Don't know what happened to Travis, but what is clear is that his body is being taken to the headquarters of the Red Mountain Group. They will conduct experiments on Travis's body to revive the dead. So, he, who was already dead, can come back to life thanks to the technology created by the group.
Do you remember?
Not long after, the leader of Red Mountain, Wetzler, appeared. He explained to Travis that the purpose of this experiment was to give the dead a chance to live. However, the government strictly prohibits this experiment because it is considered to have crossed the limits of humanity. Because he wanted to keep doing the experiment, Wetzler began giving orders to Jim to go kill Keith in his hiding place. This was done so that Keith would not leak important information about the secrets of the experiment to government agents.
Yes, sir. Godspeed.
Before being tasked with killing Lynn again, Travis suddenly heard a surprising fact. Apparently, the purpose of this experiment is to revive professional hitmen who will be used as elite killing machines belonging to the Red Mountain Group. Whoever has been resurrected can have his life arranged within 24 hours. So, if the allotted time is up, that person will die and will only be resurrected once he or she is needed. Hearing this fact, Travis, who was upset because he had been tricked, immediately went berserk. He took a doctor hostage, then began attacking the guards on duty at the place. After successfully killing some of the guards, when Travis was about to leave the place, he suddenly hallucinated seeing his son's shadow. The doctor then explained that these symptoms were a side effect of the experimental trials.
Don't make me regret this.
Long story short, because his life was limited by time, Travis began to say goodbye to his father-in-law because he could not return to spend time together.
I'm in a bad way, Frank.
Bad like what?
Oh, I don't think I do have a soul.
After saying goodbye, Travis went to meet Lynn to help destroy the Red Mountain Group. At the same time, we are also shown Keith, who is explaining to members of the United Nations Representative Council. There, he divulges the secret of Red Mountain's rottenness, which uses corpses as weapons. Apparently, before the experiment was carried out on Travis, they had killed as many as 70 civilians in South Africa. All of this was done in order to make them as guinea pigs to perfect human awakening technology. Most cruelly, every corpse that fails to be resurrected will be immediately burned en masse to eliminate evidence of the murder.
Turns out they've been medically fucking experimented on.
However, when Keith was about to continue his story, suddenly, he and several Interpol members were shot one by one. The shooter was Jim, who had targeted them from a distance. After successfully killing some government agents, he began giving orders to his men to immediately rush into the headquarters. Of course, this overwhelmed Lynn and her team. Plus, they had to protect Keith from being killed by Red Mountain's forces. When things were getting cornered, Travis luckily came to the rescue and rushed Lynn and Keith to leave the building.
Not ever point a gun at me again.
However, when they were about to go to a hiding place, Keith was suddenly hit by a sniper shot from Jim. Long story short, after escaping the pursuit of the troops, Keith, who had lost a lot of blood, began to slowly lose consciousness. Before dying, he had handed over a memory containing a recording of the rottenness of the Red Mountain Group. In the memory, Keith has secretly saved several cruel videos committed by the group. Meanwhile, Jim, who just realized that his memory had disappeared, was sure that Lynn must have taken it. Therefore, he immediately ordered his men to kidnap Christopher. They planned to use him to get the memory back. And sure enough, not long after, Jim suddenly contacted them and said that his men had successfully kidnapped Christopher. He promised to release the child if the memory was returned and the child's life could be saved without any injuries. Hearing that her son had been kidnapped, Lynn was immediately shocked and frightened until Travis began trying to calm her down and promised to help save Christopher, even if it meant sacrificing his life. To save time, Travis began to invite Lynn to the secret headquarters to take the weapons they would use against Red Mountain members.
We're gonna have to get creative.
After that, they continued to go to the headquarters of an African gangster leader named Amale to ask for their help in destroying the group. At first, Amale refused because, from their point of view, Red Mountain is a charitable group that often donates money and health facilities. It would be unethical to attack an aid organization. However, Travis suddenly showed some evidence that Wetzler and his men had actually turned the African population into experimental lab rats. To cover up his rottenness, he deliberately made friendly with the villagers so that their group would not be suspected if dozens of Africans disappeared. In fact, they had been kidnapped and used as sacrifices by the Wetzler. Hearing this fact, Amale, who was angry because he had just found out about the truth, finally wanted to help Travis destroy the Red Mountain Group, especially revenge for Wetzler, who had made South Africans suffer. Long story short, several members of Red Mountain arrived in Africa with Lynn's son, Christopher. Simultaneously, Travis and Lynn blocked the car.
Well, that's a very generous offer, but
$10 in this bag here I'd like to give you in exchange.
During the exchange, the locals suddenly appeared and started preparing to finish off the Red Mountain members. On Amale's orders, the people who were ready to die began to attack members of the group until some members who were frightened by the brutality of the Africans immediately fled, carrying Christopher. One of the villagers carries a rocket launcher that shoots one of the cars. Travis, who sees this, immediately rushes to catch up. In the end, Christopher is successfully rescued. Right after saving Christopher, Travis, who realizes that his life has only 30 minutes left, begins to say goodbye to Lynn.
I still have some work to do.
And you need to get that testimony to the authorities.
Come on.
At that moment, Travis planned to enter the Red Mountain headquarters by threatening one of the captured members and ordering that person to call headquarters and pretend that his mission had failed.
Passenger secure. Approaching Eastgate now.
After successfully killing several guards, Wetzler, who saw this, immediately gave orders to Jim to stop Travis, who was going crazy. Because Jim had found the address where Frank lived, he immediately threatened Travis that if he did not surrender, then Frank would be confirmed lifeless. However, Travis, who was not afraid of the threat, refused to surrender and instead went even more berserk by starting to drive the car towards the headquarters and immediately slammed the car against the building. At that moment, all members of Red Mountain immediately came down and began to confirm whether Travis was really dead. However, after checking, they did not find Travis, but found several bombs in the car. Meanwhile, Frank, who knew the arrival of the two Red Mountain members, was getting ready with a shotgun. As soon as they entered, Frank managed to kill all the enemies without anyone left. Likewise with Lynn, who has arrived at the UN building to provide recorded evidence of the rottenness of the Red Mountain Group. Back to Travis, who managed to save himself from the explosion. So, the annoyed Wetzler started holding competitions and would give a reward of $1 million to anyone who managed to kill Travis.
$1 million to the man who kills Conrad.
With a high enough pay, all members began to be eager to kill Travis, which eventually led to a shootout. Travis began to show a brutal attitude by slaughtering enemies who kept coming one by one. The action of the fight only left Wetzler and Jim. Simultaneously, Travis immediately pointed a gun by giving Wetzler two choices. Do you die at the hands of Travis, or repent immediately? However, suddenly, a plot twist was finally revealed, where the person who had killed Travis's son and wife turned out to be Jim, who was ordered by Wetzler. The reason Wetzler did this was because he was annoyed with Travis, who continued to refuse to join the Red Mountain organization. As for Jim, he argued that he was forced to do this because he was afraid that his boss would kill his family. Therefore, Jim was forced to do this cruel thing to Travis's family in order to protect his children and wife. Travis, who knew who had killed his son and wife, immediately prepared a weapon to kill Wetzler. However, due to his severe injuries, he was no longer strong enough to do so. Finally, Jim, who felt guilty for killing his friend's family, decided to kill Wetzler. However, he had to be killed by members of Interpol.
Drop your fucking weapon!
At the end of the movie, Travis, who only had a few seconds left, suddenly begins to recall moments with his family and feels guilty for failing to take care of them.